Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Thank you to the New York e-Commerce Forum, Microsoft. This is so awesome. I've never been to this space. It is super cool. Definitely going to come back. So, we can figure out the...
It's over here.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. So today's session is called The Marketer's Ultimate Guide to Reviews. 93% of what we're going to talk about is directly related to marketing, mostly digital marketing. There's a little bit of soft stuff outside of that, I will warn you, but most of it is very, very marketing focused, and obviously all about reviews. And reviews is a pretty interesting space. Everybody knows what a review is. Reviews have existed for a long time, but they're just starting to get, or they have in the last few years, starting to get really important. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. A little bit about me. That's me. I've been in the digital space for over 7 years, working at a variety of digital marketing SaaS companies, agencies, etc. I live in Brooklyn. I really like talking about Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn. So if you want to talk about Brooklyn, you know where to find me. And that's my dog. Her name's Riley, and I am obsessed with her. She's so cool. If you like dogs too, I also like to talk about dogs. So that's it for me. So this is our agenda today, these 10 main tactics that we're going to focus on. But we're going to start by talking about why we're talking about reviews, why they're important. So I'm going to give you some stats. Stats are sometimes meaningful, sometimes not. Hopefully you'll be able to take a mixture of these stats and your own personal experience, maybe you read reviews in your own life, and draw some conclusions about why reviews are actually important. So this is a good stat that Americans don't trust advertising. They actually think advertising is explicitly dishonest. And this has been a trend that has continued in the last several decades. You know, you think back, if you ever watched the show Mad Men, you probably know why we've now landed in this place, why advertising is thought of as dishonest. But this is a problem because a lot of businesses drive a lot of their revenue with advertising, and it's not working as well as it used to. But a pretty cool phenomenon, if you look here, this is a Nielsen study that shows to what extent consumers trust different types of advertising. It's very small, and for that I apologize, but the first one is recommendations from people I know. 92% of people trust that. I'm a little surprised why it's not 100%, but I guess that just tells you consumers are just distrustful people. But the second one, right after that, is consumer opinions posted online. It's 72%. That's pretty impressive because it doesn't specify that it's people that you know. It's just any consumer opinions posted online. The second most trusted after recommendations from your friends and family. So pretty cool. So we don't trust advertising. We do trust reviews. This might look familiar. This is kind of a very general version. I feel like I'm blocking people over here. Sorry, I'll hover. Of the buyer journey. Maybe this looks familiar. Maybe you feel like you can generally map your buyer journey to this one here. Well, reviews come into play a lot of steps, in all of these steps pretty much. So the first piece, you recognize you have a need. You start to research what kind of product will fit that need. You are influenced by reviews potentially during that time. Then you start to evaluate the options you have for that product. And you're probably looking for reviews. I know when I shop, especially retailer e-commerce online, if I don't find reviews, I'm alarmed, concerned, confused maybe, and probably going to look elsewhere. The next step being the purchase decision. So once you find what you want to buy and who offers it, you then need to decide whether or not you're actually going to buy. You may be influenced by reviews. And then of course, post-purchase, you're leaving reviews. So that whole journey involves reviews. So what impact do those reviews have during the journey? A few more stats for you. 90% of consumers say their buying decisions are influenced by online reviews. 90%. And I think that's a 2015 stat, meaning it's probably even higher now. The interesting thing is that's not isolated to online purchases. I think the stat is 87% say that online reviews influence both online purchases and brick and mortar purchases. So that's pretty surprising that the world of brick and mortar, which has taken a long time to get online, is actually being influenced by online reviews as well. The next stat, 72% of consumers will take action after reading a positive review. So a lot of times when we talk to retailers that are getting into the review space, they say, oh, I just don't want to get a negative review, because as soon as somebody reads a negative review, that's when they react, they choose not to buy. But but the truth is positive reviews actually incite more action than negative reviews. And this stat kind of shows that. The third one I think is really interesting too, that consumers are likely to spend 30% more with a business that have excellent reviews. So a lot of retailers think about reviews as helping to influence should I buy or not buy, kind of that binary decision. But it actually, reviews can help influence how much consumers are spending with you as well, and actually help increase basket size. So that's pretty cool. So all of this kind of boils down to something that Forrester has named the age of the consumer. Lots of people have written about this and called it different things. There's been several buzzwords that have come out of this age of the consumer. One of them is customer experience, increased focus on that. But basically, Forrester says that you have to become customer obsessed, and that's the only sustainable way to differentiate yourself in your industry. A lot of studies show that customer experience is already one of the top differentiators that differentiate one company from another, but many of them show that it will be the #1 differentiator by far in the next few years. Great. So the moral of the story is reviews are happening. They are happening all around us, whether or not you'd like to believe so or not. So you need a strategy to deal with them. So this should be the first tenet of any review strategy. If you take one thing away from this session, this is what I would like it to be, which is please, please, please consider collecting reviews proactively. So the difference between reactive review collection and proactive is asking for reviews versus just letting them happen. And this is the difference. If you're not asking for reviews, the best split you will see is 50-50, positive, negative. The very, very best. Even if you're the greatest business in the land, this is still the best you will see, because consumer behavior is if we have a negative experience, we're much more likely to look for a place to post it versus if we have an equally positive one. However, if you start proactively collecting reviews, the split becomes much more favorable, much more representative of your business, and much more fair. So 83% will be positive reviews or more. In fact, at Trustpilot, we have over 22 million reviews on our online review community. 87% of them are 4 and 5 stars. So it's pretty impressive stuff. So this is something that we always have to overcome with new companies that have not proactively collected reviews before, is that fear. Up until when you start collecting reviews, you usually hear mostly the negative stuff. But I think if you try, you will be pleasantly surprised and beyond excited to see how much positive feedback you actually get. Great. So how reviews impact online business. We break it down into 3 buckets at Trustpilot. I'd offer you the same if you'd like to do it that way. The first is building a better brand. Having more web presence, more positive web presence, people associating positive stuff and thoughts with your brand wherever you might show up online and otherwise. The second is accelerating your marketing investments. So wherever you're spending money, particularly in the digital marketing space, reviews can help show more ROI from those channels. And the third is actually offering you insights. This is the piece that's often overlooked because we get so caught up in the business sense of reviews, the money to be made from reviews. We forget that the most obvious thing of reviews is that it's feedback that we may be otherwise missing about our business that we can then take back and make changes at both a micro level, so making sure this customer is happy and this one is happy and this one is happy, but also at a macro level, looking for trends and things like that. So that's how we usually break it down. I do want to touch briefly, because I know search is something you guys talk about a lot. I like to talk about search a lot too, if you want to talk about that. Reviews are a very big deal in Google. And the reason for that is because reviews are a very big deal for consumers. Google takes all of their cues from consumers in terms of what they make important. So the things that reviews do for you in Google, I'm going to get more into this in a minute, is increase your credibility, give you more page real estate, which is a big deal when we're fighting for space on those crowded SERP pages, differentiate you from your competitors that are also there, particularly in very competitive industries, stand out in the search results, and lend that positive brand reputation wherever you're showing up in Google. All of this can help improve your click-through rate and conversion rate in Google. So we're going to get a lot more into this in a minute, but we're not going to get so detailed into this. If you want to talk more about specifically Google and reviews, find me. I love to talk about it. Great. Let's get to our 10 ways. That was all just the introduction, I know. Very long-winded. All right, the first one, we're talking about conversations and engaging with your customers. So reviews are great for customer engagement. That is a big buzzword that people talk about a lot, engaging with your customers on social, via email, whatever it is. Reviews is another natural way to do that. So what we suggest, if you get negative reviews, publicly reply to them. That is so critical. It shows that you're listening. Then privately follow up, resolve the issue if you can, ask the customer to update their review. If you're collecting reviews in an open forum, they can do that. And a lot of times they will. People are really surprised to hear that, but I have lots of cases where they have. Send them an incentive to give you a second chance, right? You spent all that money to acquire that customer the first time, you mess something up, you're probably gonna lose them, but if you send them some kind of discount code to come back and try again, you might have won back return business, and we all know how important that is. Positive reviews, optionally reply to it publicly if you have the resource. Keep it unique though, don't do a lot of canned copy-paste responses. It's a great way to delight your customers. Say, hey, we loved your review, thank you so much. Send them an incentive to come back. Send them an incentive to refer all their friends to you. If somebody spends the time to write you a paragraph-long 5-star review, they'll probably spend the time sending you 5 of your friends that will like you too. Okay? So this is a great, great path to building loyalty programs and advocacy programs. That's just gonna lead to more business. So the benefits, you're starting conversations that could lead to later upsells or return business. You're showcasing this customer interaction that you had, the fact that you care to prospective buyers that are considering purchasing with you. You're identifying those advocates that you can further leverage to get more new business. You're doing a nice health check of your business. You're resolving issues, obviously, and you're demonstrating that you care. So some best practices that we talk about when replying to reviews, always start with an apology. This is not a court of law. We don't care who was right or wrong. Just start with the apology. Address the customer concerns directly. Give the customer a way to follow up with you. And then also reach out privately. This is not a good forum, the public forum, to go back and forth on these things. You want to just reach out to them and resolve any issue. And of course, ask them to update the review if the issue is resolved. These are two great examples. Again, it's probably a little too small for you to see, but this is from a company called Thrift Books. They are the #1 seller of used books. They also sell new books online. And the CEO of Thrift Books sent this to me because he was so delighted. It was a terrible review. It says that the pages were moldy. It was like, it smelled really bad. They had to throw it away. They were really angry. And they were able to resolve this issue so much so that the customer came back, changed it from a 1 to a 5-star review, wrote an update, and said they'd be a customer for life. The CEO literally pointed this out to us and said, I think this is so much more powerful than any number of generic 5-star reviews. Because we're in business, we all know that things will happen. Not every transaction will be perfect, no matter how hard we try. The question is, if things go wrong, when things go wrong, will they deal with it properly? And here this company showed that they will. And there's another example over here from another business, but this is just such a great example and often overlooked side benefit of reviews, I think. Great. Social media, I'm sure you guys like social media. So we think social media and reviews are a great pair. It really makes sense. Social media is where customers go anyway to talk about their experiences. So you should just add and fuel that conversation. So we want you to share the actual review content, not just ratings. Use third-party validation. Obviously, all the examples I'm going to show you today, guys, disclaimer, are going to be Trustpilot examples because that's what I live and breathe. But you can do this for any reviews that you collect, any kind of reviews. If you are thinking about starting a proactive review strategy, though, I would encourage you to consider using a third-party review system because the third-party validation, rather than collecting yourself, adds a level of authenticity and trust that you can't do when you're collecting them on your own. And these are things that consumers are starting to look for. So consider it, use that third-party validation, whoever it is, to add credibility to those reviews. Share the reviews with an image, encourage your customer to share the reviews with others, tag the customers whose reviews it is, and celebrate those milestones that you hit. 500 reviews, 1,000 reviews, 9 stars or higher, whatever it is. Celebrate those on Twitter as well. This is a great way to humanize your brand and use your customers' own words to talk about your brand rather than trying to creatively come up with new things to tweet all the time. And of course, we always like hashtags. So benefits, you're broadcasting the happy stories, you're adding trust and transparency in the customer's own voice to your social media presence. It's very inexpensive. You can help meet your social goals. We have a customer called On Deck who tweets reviews all the time, and those tweets see 30% more engagement than their other tweets. And it's just a nice way to do straight talk about your brand. Here's some examples on Twitter. You'll see various reviews, links to reviews, images, badges, celebrations. Here's some examples on some of the other platforms, but it's really it makes for really obvious content for social media. Great. Trend tracking. I touched on this a little bit. Use the feedback to find patterns and see what is and isn't working. So the one thing you want to think about before you start collecting reviews is what type of format you want to use. NPS is a really popular one. However, NPS is mostly used for internal benchmarking. It doesn't have a lot of external uses. So I would encourage you to think outside the NPS box. Some people like surveys. The one thing I'll caution you about surveys with like multiple choice questions, those questions are very leading. Why we like open text forms at Trustpilot is it allows the customer to talk about what's most important to them. You're going to get a lot more insight when you leave it open to them to talk about in their own words versus asking them to select multiple choice. So we want you to track and report on all the different things you're getting, how many reviews you're getting, what distribution of ratings, what time do they come in, and try to understand the quantity versus rating correlation, right? If you have a busy season, maybe you're on holidays, what happens to your ratings then? As you make changes in your business, what happens to your ratings? The other cool thing is if you use a system, some special way of collecting reviews, and you track the reviews back to the customers, you can then map customer demographic information back to the ratings that you're getting. So for example, let's say it's interesting for you to track back to your reviews the zip code of the customer or their average basket size, their gender, their age range, whatever it is. Then you can start to spot trends like, oh, all my 5-star reviews are coming from this type of person, all my 1-star reviews are coming from this type of person. Maybe I should stop targeting the 1-star type because they're not actually bringing a very profitable return to my business. The other thing you can use in terms of analytics is actually look at your review content once you have it and use sentiment analysis and keyword frequency analysis to look for the main topics of reviews. So some of the main topics we tend to see are related to delivery, your website, expectation setting, customer service. I will tell you the number one thing that people find interesting insights about that they had no idea before is related to their website. People always say, oh, I'm going to expose my delivery provider, or I'm going to, expose my manufacturer for poor product quality. It's usually their own website. So it's interesting the insights you'll find that you had no idea were right in front of you. So it's great to find pain points before they mess up your business even more, to track the success of your customer service teams, to discover these meta trends that you might not otherwise find, and to improve your overall customer experience. Here's a few examples. This is from a really big retail company called Miles Kimball. They're part of Silver Star Brands Properties, and they did some experimenting with delivery providers as well as some new processes in their customer care teams, and it helped a lot. So this is actually the percentage of bad reviews, and you can see the lines going down. So the changes that they made a lot of improvement, and they were able to take this level of reporting to management. Often process changes like this are hard to report on. They're hard to say, no, we did improve things. Things really did get better because they're not always tied to revenue. But this is a great way to make something that's often very subjective way more quantitative. And then this is another example from a company called Dashlane. They were a new product in a new space. They didn't know really how to talk about their product in a way that people would understand. So they used their reviews to better understand how they should do their marketing messaging. They used their customers' own words to inspire how they would put their brand out there. Cool. Email marketing. So we talked about social, but also emails. I'm sure you guys all do some email marketing. You're probably always looking for new content to put in your emails. We think you should consider reviews. They work very well. It's great for new prospective customers and returning customers. You can really target the review content that you put in your email campaigns. Some suggested ways of targeting it are, again, using that demographic information to share review content from like customers with other customers. Using their purchase behavior or past purchases to influence what review content you send them to try to incite a second purchase. And also the steps of the purchase funnel that they've completed. If you work in a business where you have a multi-step process, we work with a lot of businesses where people can fall off in the middle of the conversion funnel. Reviews are a great way to keep people going. I'll show you some examples in a minute. And then reviews can be great content throughout the buyer journey. When you're first pitching your company to someone, you can use more general ones. Midway through the purchase funnel to overcome specific objections. So let's say they came to your website, they added a bunch of stuff to their cart, and then they disappeared, right? Everyone's worst nightmare. Retarget them with an email. Send them reviews from people that bought those products to get them excited about them again. Send them reviews that talk about how great your delivery is and fast your shipping is and secure your website is. All those things that they might be having doubts about in that last phase of the conversion. And then, of course, after the first purchase, to encourage second purchase. So third-party validation, again, accelerating your customer buyer journey, more targeted campaigns in your email marketing, and the psychological motivation of social proof. Some great examples. So this is LendingTree. When somebody is partially through the funnel, they've filled out an application, they've done searches for what types of loans they want, but they haven't yet selected which one they want to move forward with. They send some reviews to try to get you to go to that next step. This is a cool one. This was actually a t-shirt that I designed for Trustpilot. It was an inside joke, doesn't make any sense now, but it's with Rush Order Tees, and I had designed the t-shirt and hadn't bought it yet, and they sent me this email, here's your design, don't forget to buy, look how good we are. Makes a lot of sense, right? Some other ones, just a general promotional email with some new products with ratings there, or a very specific product one. I got this email, these were booties that I was considering purchasing. I did not move forward with that purchase, but this review very much made me want to, so pretty cool. All right, getting more clicks on your ad. So here's the Google piece that we're gonna get into a little. It's gonna get a little Google sticky. If you're not into Google, maybe tune out for a minute, or you might like Google after this, I don't know. So both PPC and SEO can be made more fruitful with verified ratings. So the benefits of stars in search, I spoke about this before, increasing CTR, giving you more traffic, saving you cost savings in SEM. Does anybody like the sound of that? I do. Positive brand impressions, differentiation, real estate, more revenue, less money. So there's lots of different stars that you can get. Some of the increases that are cited to stars, Google says that you get an average increase of 17% click-through rate when you have stars in your PPC. In Google Shopping, they say that increases on average 15%. In organic, if you have rich snippets in your organic search, they say the average increase is around 30%. It obviously very much varies on your industry and competitiveness, but here's some quick examples. So I already talked about all this really. So you can see stars are everywhere in SERPs. These are ads. These are Google seller profile pages. Then we have Google Shopping, more Google Shopping, mobile, stars are everywhere. So here's how it breaks down. In organic search results, you can get stars if you have a third-party site like Trustpilot. This is like a reputation management play here. So for your branded term, having another property rank with that rich snippet stars at the bottom, this is a huge reputation management play and can send further referral traffic to your website. Another place over there in the Google Knowledge Graph, if you're familiar with the Google Knowledge Graph, it's a newer thing. Google is serving up based on schema and their knowledge graph information. So if you have a physical location, they might show more information on the right, including maybe a rating. Also in organic search results, this is a search for classic car insurance reviews. You can see Haggerty shows up here, number 3 in organic search results, but they have rich snippets. So that's gonna help them win more clicks than hopefully the 2 guys above them. This is another example of a product-related search in organic, Reef Women's Sassy Sandals. If you're looking for those, may I suggest Island Surf, because they rank first and they have rich snippet stars, which makes them stand out more, win more clicks. In paid search results, you can see the Google seller rating stars that you can qualify for at the top there. In addition, you can get the seller ratings ad extension, or actually those are powered by product reviews, showing up in your product listing ads if you participate in those. And in Google Shopping, you can see both. There's product stars and seller rating stars throughout Google Shopping. So the stars are everywhere. I think almost now we're kind of blind to them because they're just there all the time. We don't even notice them. But they are literally in every part of Google. And if you are in a competitive space, you need to have them to be able to play with the big boys. And if you're not in a competitive space, you should have them so you can easily beat out everybody else. Again, if you want more information on how to get all those stars, talk to me later. All right, inspiring employees, a much softer topic here, using your reviews to help drive performance from your internal teams. So make them easy to see, use dashboards, integrate reviews into the existing systems or processes that you have. Salesforce or whatever CRMs you might be using, put the reviews in there. Use contests to encourage individual performance, as well as hitting team goals. This is a great, again, like sometimes we search for metrics that we can hold our team to that's not just revenue all the time. Use ratings, use reviews. It's a great metric and it really unites the team behind it. It can be great for micro-level performance assessments, planning team trainings, and they're really relevant to everyone. If you have like a product team or a marketing team or what have you, you can use keywords to route the reviews to the people that it's relevant to. Benefits, very inexpensive way to inspire employees, recognizing people's successes. It's a great tangible metric that you could kind of hold to track how things are going. Identifying areas that need help, and free lunches, because we have a customer that gives away free lunches every time they get 5-star reviews. So here's an example of a dashboard. This is one of our customers that has, 4 or 5 web shops that they manage. So when the reviews come in, they put the little icon on the left next to it to show what website it's from, and the different website teams kind of compete to see who can get the most. Critter Control, they're one of our customers. They have a competition. Well, it's actually the opposite of a competition. Whoever gets a 1-star review has to wash all the trucks in the fleet. There's like 50 of them. It's the worst. So they try really hard not to get a 1-star review. Great. Buster checkout ghosts. We started calling people checkout ghosts that come to your website, do some stuff, and then leave the website and you don't understand why. So really this is talking about decreasing your bounce rate, increasing your conversion rate. 38% of consumers say that reviews are a must-have when they're trying to establish if a website is credible. The other things that come before it are contact information and about information. So reviews are becoming as critical as things like having a phone number on your website. It's pretty crazy. You can use targeted reviews in key places of your website, again, to overcome specific objections that might be coming up at that time. So like again, if you, we have a company, BookBite, talking a lot about book companies that are just coming to my mind. They have specific areas of their site that address common customer concerns, like will the shipping be fast enough, will the book quality be nice enough, and they have specific reviews on those pages that address those concerns. Other areas that you want to look at that are part of the conversion funnel, landing pages. Always start with landing pages. Hopefully you guys are using landing pages. They're so important. Start there, throw some good reviews on them, see if you can increase the conversion rate as quickly as that, and then start looking where else on the site you can put them. Product pages, obviously, category level pages, it's good to have the ratings as well. If you have forms that you have to fill out, multiple forms, we like to test putting reviews and ratings throughout that process because a lot of people tend to drop off. Shopping cart pages, payment details pages, those places. Look and see where you're seeing the most bounce and try some reviews and ratings there. Benefits, direct revenue impact, obviously that's huge. You can A/B test pretty easily, decrease your bounce rates, providing trust and transparency, and then giving people the reviews on the site so they don't look elsewhere. That's a pretty crucial one that we don't always talk about. People demand reviews. 90% of consumers say they need them to make an online purchase. If you don't provide them in a trustworthy way on your website, they will just Google it. And then either they will get distracted, find somebody else to buy from, or find something that you don't want them to. So provide them in an authentic way on your website, and they won't get distracted. Great. So some examples. Here's a company that has it on a landing page. They have like a nice carousel of reviews going through here. This is a form fill out to start a free trial. They have reviews right there because this was a high bounce rate page for them before to start their free trial because they're kind of asking for a lot of information at once, so that's a good way to help deter that. Another kind of display, horizontal display at the bottom there. This is one of our customers, Vivint. They have reviews all over their landing pages. They've seen significant increases in conversion from that. And then this is another Dashlane example. We've seen with a lot of software companies when they have a free starter software and then they have later paid ones, they will feed you reviews all through the installation process. They might even embed reviews in the free version of the software to try to keep pushing you towards that paid conversion. Product reviews. So I've talked about this lightly throughout, but product reviews are very important. And usually when we're at Trustpilot, we talk about 2 levels of reviews, company or seller level reviews, and then product level reviews. So both are important for different reasons. Product reviews obviously help promote the individual items. They're basically required now. Everyone expects to see them. They're more trusted than manufacturer descriptions, like way more trusted than manufacturer descriptions. So if you're like batting around your head, oh, should I put resources towards getting the manufacturer descriptions out there or focus on reviews, go for the reviews. Increase conversion, add credibility. One tip. So I talk to a lot of retailers that have a lot of products or have a lot of product turnover. And they say, I can't build up enough quantity of product reviews for these things to make a difference, right? I either have 0, 1, or 2 product reviews for all my products, and it sucks because that's not enough. So here's what you can do. You can have the product reviews and you can supplement them with the company or seller level reviews. Because people want that mix of specificity and quantity. Because quantity is very important. You can even take those company or seller level reviews and target them even more by category type, so shirts, pants, shoes, whatever it might be, so that it adds a little bit more specificity to the experience. Make sure that your product review content is crawlable, guys. This can really help with long tail SEO boosts. So obviously Google likes unique content. User-generated content is a hot topic. It's the best stuff because you don't have to pay for it, and it tends to be really relevant and rich in keywords. So make sure you put those product reviews on your product pages. They're fully crawlable, and they will help boost that long tail traffic for product keywords that you probably don't have a lot of time to spend on. Include the rating market. Make sure you get that schema.org markup in there so you can qualify for those rich snippet stars in organic search. Lots of benefits. You can get stars in Google Shopping and PLAs. You can qualify for those rich snippet stars. They're personalized recommendations, very specific to the product, overcome those specific product-related objections, and also, obviously, they give you more insights. Cool. So here's some examples. This is one of our customers. They do I think these are energy drinks. I've never had one, honestly, but people say they're very good because it has a 4.8 out of 5. And I would encourage you with product reviews, guys, show the bad ones too. People do not believe it when it's only 5-star reviews. That's just not viable. Here's another one. This is great. Pinnacle Promotions. They have a few 100,000 products, and all of their products are fully customizable. So they have that issue with quantity. They show product reviews in one of the tabs, but then they also have this separate trust tab on every single one of their pages. It actually defaults to that one. You can see, if you probably can't see it, but the second tab is product reviews. The first one is just talking about their overall company rating, which is a 9.6 or something like that out of 10. So they use that combo of the company rating and the product review rating to help lend that credibility. Great. Retargeting, right? Any display advertising. If you tried display, you probably were pumped about it, then you did it, and you were like, what is this 0.0001% click-through rate? This is awful. Well, that's all display advertising. It's not great, but this is a way that you could probably make it a little bit better. So all of your digital ads, any display ads you're doing, any paid social ads, any retargeting ads, I would mostly encourage you to try this with the retargeting ads, guys. They're way more trusted than advertising. We already went through that. So it adds credibility to your advertising. It will help increase performance. Try adding the actual review content, not just a generic star rating. Target the review content to the audience that comes through that specific channel. Again, the marketing messaging is going to be more effective when it's written by your customers, and then make sure you just test it a lot. So overall, using that social proof again to increase conversion, giving opportunity for optimization in a channel where it's often very hard to optimize, improving your click-through rates, lowering your CPC, boosting conversion. Let's see some examples. Crossover, they sell some kind of coaching software. They have snippets of reviews there. Vivint, they sell security and all home services. They have snippets of reviews there. Both of those guys saw between 30, 40, 50, 60% increase in conversion, which still only meant it had 0.02 now in click-through. So don't get too excited. You're not going to change your entire revenue impact with this thing, but it's still a very significant impact. Here's some cool ones. This is a stock photo company, 123RF. They're very cool if you ever need stock photos. And they took these kind of beautiful, very image-centric ads and added a little bit of content with them, with the reviews, and it performed very, very well. The last one, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but really making the culture of your company review-centric and therefore customer-centric. We talk a lot about the customer coming first, customers being the most important thing. Reviews are, again, another way to materially make that a thing. So socialize your reviews internally, make them part of the company's KPI, overall OKR structure. Review importance has to start from the very top of the company. Celebrate those benchmarks. Make reviews a point of pride. The customer experience will follow. So again, back to that quote from the Age of the Consumer from Forrester, this is so, so important that you become review obsessed, customer obsessed, and it's also just fun. It's just a rewarding way. We pour our lives into our work, right guys? And sometimes it's like, man, this paycheck just isn't cutting it anymore. I bet you reviews will help. I really think they will. I read Trustpilots all the time. They aren't all good, but the good ones, those really make it worthwhile. Some examples, Parts Geek has some pictures of the reviews throughout their office. They had a party when they got to 100,000 reviews. They sell like little cell phone cases and things like that. So this is my homework to you, my challenge to you. Consider implementing a proactive review collection strategy. Like if there's nothing else again you take from this, just consider it. Look into some third-party tools. I really think that third-party validation piece is so key, and it's only getting more important. For example, Google only takes in reviews from certain third parties that are authorized to send those reviews. So look into things like that. Make sure you optimize your response rate. You tend to see that the higher response rate you get, the more reviews you get, the higher your ratings will go. Again, going back to that customer behavior kind of situation, that if you have a negative experience, you're probably going to talk about it right away. If you have a positive experience, you need to be a little more incented to leave that review. So I'd encourage you to test the timing and the vehicle that you use to collect a review, whether it's an email, an embedded review form on your website, things like that, to see what works best for your audience. Monitor reviews, respond to them, resolve the issues, actually learn from them. Again, that thing that we often overlook, that reviews are just feedback and we need to be listening. Use the reviews across your different marketing channels, all your content, your website to boost your conversion rates, your revenue. Socialize your reviews internally, use them to motivate, celebrate, and educate your team. And just continue to measure the impact and improve after that. So I think that's it. I did want to say one thing, guys. Trustpilot, again, you don't have to use us. Use any review provider. We have a free version. Lots of the review providers do, where you can claim your Trustpilot profile, customize it, start collecting reviews, start dabbling, try it out, respond to the reviews, that sort of thing. Check it out. If you want more information, let us know, or don't check it out, but consider reviews. It should be part of your 2017 strategy. I think there's my work information, there's my personal information, that's our website. And I don't know what time it is, but maybe we can take some questions now.
Yeah, go ahead. Question and answers, sir.
You mean I said everything and there's 0 questions? That will be the first time I've ever done that. Yeah. Yes?
The slide you show the negative Google review for the local business. Like for many business owners who own the local like stores or kind of like shops, they drop the negative review. Some typical negative reviews are left by the competitors. Like I had this experience once. It's a really bad experience, and it's basically not a real customer. It's a fake one. And also my friends, they own other kind of business. Their stores were left review actually basically left by the employees who quit. Happy employees who quit. So do you have any solution on this?
Yeah, so if you didn't hear the question, it was about fraudulent reviews, malicious reviews from competitors, from ex-employees. A very real problem. I think you'll find in the overall world of reviews, a smaller percentage of them that fall there, but a very real problem. So unfortunately, some of the biggest review providers out there, I won't name it, but it rhymes with Melp. They have set a pretty bad precedent for how they will deal with that sort of thing. I think they're now being pushed to take that kind of stuff more seriously and actually give recourse for people where there is malicious reviews, fake reviews, that sort of thing. Even Google has had issues with that. Platforms like Trustpilot and all of our competitors and people like us, that was something that those platforms put first. So any reviews collected through Trustpilot can be verified. So essentially you're sending the customer a unique link to leave that review that's unique to you and that customer, so you know that that's a real review. And anything that doesn't come in that way can be flagged for potential removal. So I would ask you, if when you go out there looking, because I know like immediately when you leave here, you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta get my review solution, I gotta get one going today because Jordan said so. So when you look into it, make sure that they have a compliance team, some kind of fraud process. Make sure that they have a way to report reviews and a recourse for that, because that's very, very important. It is incredibly expensive for companies to do that. We spend a ton of money on it, but it is so, so important because protecting your reputation is obviously the number one thing. You know, I would really escalate those things as much as you can, but keep in mind, the best way to negate a fake negative review is by getting 10 positive ones. And the only way to do that is proactive review collection. So I can't speak for every platform because some people don't do it well yet, although I think they're starting to evolve. But before you start a proactive review collection strategy, make sure that that's a requirement that you have for whatever you use, that there is a recourse for reporting reviews and dealing with potentially fraudulent reviews. Very, very important. It's a good question. Yes?
How does Trustpilot deal with privacy and security of data?
It's a great question. Very seriously. Is that enough for an answer? Just kidding. We have many different ways that you can use our platform to collect reviews. Some of them involve sending us minimal customer data, but we have very intense security around that data, and all data is deleted within 30 days. Some of the ways that we offer to collect reviews does not involve you sending us your customer data, and it's you creating the unique links, that unique relationship on your end and sending them out. So we can talk more about that, but it is a very real issue. Most 97% of our customers use the way where they are sending their customer data, because the only data that we require to identify that customer as unique is their email address.
Because in terms of our mobile app, the data becomes an asset to us that for our customers.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Of course.
We've been thinking about using third-party provider for the review portion.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, all of those things are dealt with, and keep in mind that when the customer is actually leaving a review, that's the last step where they're authorizing their data to be part of that review, which again is just their email address. If they do not leave a review and and that's made very clear to them when they're leaving a review, they don't leave the review and authorize that last step, then everything is deleted anyway. So there are various ways of dealing with that. Also, a lot of folks will collect reviews with an embedded form on their site, so then no customer data is exchanged as well. But we have very many different ways of doing that. We work with a lot of, and again, us and our competitors, we've figured this out. Lots of financial service companies. Reviews are huge in financial services right now, insurance, lending, consumer banking, and they obviously have the strictest rules around that, and there are paths around it. So it's obviously the customer data concern is of number one importance, because if we lose the consumer trust, then we might as well not exist. So it's a good question, but there are numerous ways of going around that.
How do you feel doing like a fake review, like a Yelp, they have an algorithm, you have like a machine learning, anything that, because it's like, I have a lot of experience that people, they always talk about Yelp that kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, so similar to Yelp, I'd like to say ours is way better than Yelp, is our machine learning logic that looks for it. We have both a dedicated team that combs through reviews and also an algorithm that basically scrapes for bad reviews. And we err on the side of caution, so we often flag things that could potentially be fraudulent and then have a person examine them for further analysis, but we do tend to err on the side of caution, pulling anything that could potentially be fraudulent, which can sometimes be frustrating as well. But when you're collecting reviews in any kind of volume, it's very important that we're helping you look out for those circumstances. And obviously we have so many spam filters, lots of blocked IPs and things like that at this point, because we've been doing this for 8+ years now, and we have over 24 million reviews. So we've gotten pretty good at it. And again, most of our competitors have something similar. Some folks have what's called a closed review platform, so it's more of just a database where they help you collect reviews and store them in a database, and you can share them how you want. We have an open review platform. We actually have a website. That's why we rank for your branded terms. We think that openness is really important to the trust and transparency and making sure that people actually think our reviews are credible. But it does make things like monitoring for fraudulent reviews way more important. So it's a good question, and I can't talk in any kind of depth as to how that algorithm works. There's lots of people in my company that can, if you'd like to find out more about it. Any other questions? Yeah.
I'll comment on her local stuff a little bit, and then I'll have a question. Basically, you get a few friends, and you sometimes on Google Local, they don't really put any more outside reviews. They used to do more, so you have to get they're not gonna remove it and they're not gonna remove it. We have seen customers trying to go through the Google, they don't check it at all. So you have to, I would say, get your good clients and give them some bonus and have them leave the review and basically push it down. And that's the best way.
My experience is actually the negative review, the only negative review is always on the top of all the reviews. It's very interesting. Maybe it's not the most.
It's Google or Yelp?
Google.
It's usually not the case. Usually they go by date.
Oh, it's different.
So you might want to look into it if somebody maybe liked it. so there's other factors. I had a question. So you, by the way, comment also for WordPress users, you can actually integrate 5-star reviews. It's not really clean, but you can put it into your site without even having a review on the page, which is kind of weird, but we found it recently in our agency. Anyways, question about reviews. So where do you see the industry moving? So people are asking for more reviews, and what industries tend to embrace it more?
Yeah, I mean, I think, industries like retail and e-commerce have already embraced it and will continue to be. And again, reviews will become as mandatory as, electricity or whatever in those types of companies. I think what we're seeing is a lot of non-traditionally digital or customer experience focused industries moving towards reviews, like financial services, like a lot of other like software sales, that sort of thing, moving to embrace reviews as well. I think what we're seeing is a lot more ease of sharing reviews, so focus on the actual consumer communities that power reviews, not just the companies collecting them. So things like Yelp and TripAdvisor building a lot more for the consumer first and how they want to share those reviews. I think also multimedia reviews are going to get hot. So we're already seeing photo reviews, but maybe video reviews, things like that, to be elements of it as well. I think more and more we will see reviews being mapped to other types of advertising platforms. So for example, Google has already brought reviews into their PPC because they know that they get called out people love to be like, Google, you're just trying to make a profit, you're not trying to make a good user experience, and they're saying, whoa, guys, we make the best people win, hold on there, because we charge bad people more and good people less, and we put their ratings on there, so we're really doing the right thing. Other platforms are going to have to move towards that. So I was actually interviewed for a BuzzFeed article where they were blowing up Facebook for allowing fraudulent advertisers to advertise with fake pictures of products, and then it ended up delivering really bad ones. And the reason that works is because they don't have any kind of rating or review system built into their advertising platform. So I think that's something that they're going to adopt, and all the other major advertising platforms are going to adopt, just like Google did. So I think that's why it's another important reason to start thinking about building up review quantity and that focus on reviews now, because we're just going to see it more and more with advertising as people push responsible advertising, particularly advertising platforms that are social communities first and advertising platforms second. So those are some of them. Any other questions? Yes.
So, I'm sure you know, like, SEO best practice, that you can just put in information for a knowledge graph. So would you say having a Trustpilot and giving us reviews will speed up the process to get a knowledge graph for your company?
It can. You can't make any promises when it comes to Google, particularly around their knowledge graph. It's probably one of the most, we never thought there'd be anything more mysterious that had to do with Google outside of SEO. Now there is the knowledge graph. Cool. It's a bit of a black box how it works, but we've seen that, yes, that is the case. So I think the key is that you're marking up stuff that you want them to pick up and put in their knowledge graph on your website and on as many other web properties as possible. And that's what we're seeing work, is that when you have that duplication, when you're having web presence that's outside of just your website and you're having a consistent schema markup across the board, that you're going to see faster and more consistent results in things like rich snippets and knowledge graph stuff. Yeah. But I can't promise anything because I don't work at Google, guys. Yes. Speak up.
Yes.
To initiate them, to get them to leave them?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing is make it easy for them. That's why if you're sending a 20-question survey, right there, you're doing it wrong. So you want to make it short, sweet, so easy. You don't want to require them to enter personal information. That's why if you can get that unique link format where you already know who they are when they're leaving a review, so you don't have to ask them to fill out personal information, that helps a lot. You know, the question always comes up, should I offer an incentive? Test it, you know, you can never say. We tested lots of incentives. Sometimes it increases response rates, sometimes it doesn't. I think consumers are starting to get the goodwill behind leaving a review, helping others like you that are living in a perilous world with lots of, you know, terrible advertisers or whatever it is. So I think try out an incentive, but it might not work, and don't be surprised if it doesn't. But I think the biggest thing is make it as simple as possible, as short, as little personal information, and make sure it happens at the right time. I think the timing is what most retailers do wrong. They send it too early or too late or too many times or not enough times. We kind of think the magic number is 2. Ask once, remind them once. You should really leave it at that. And that reminder we do see can increase response rate up to 50%. And the responses tend to be more positive than the initial one. Again, that consumer behavior thing that we talked about. So I would encourage, try a reminder, play with the timing. Again, you do have multiple avenues. Email is the most frequent, but some people have tried collecting reviews through social media. Some people have tried an embedded review from on their website after their thank you page. So there's a lot of different best practices out there, but timing, format, and test an incentive. I'm not the biggest incentive proponent because I've seen it not work lots of times. And it tends to be chaotic actually to provide an incentive. I hope that answered your question. Anything else?
Thank you very much for a lot of experience in this.